I believe that there are easily three types of toxicity, and I believe that I, and likely everyone else, has been guilty of each of these. But I believe that people can get caught up and stuck in a loop of some of these toxicities. The types of toxicities I'm talking about are chaotic, neutral, and calm, each with their pros, each with massive disadvantages. However, the only one everyone can agree on is that chaotic has the worst qualities, but I believe calm has potentially the best advantages, though some could argue it has some of the worst disadvantages. Chaotic is by far the most unstable. Chaotic toxicity means you always find unstable ground and prefer to keep noticing issues without ever fixing them, purposely keeping it that way. Calm toxicity, on the other hand, is one where they find stability in being too relaxed, where nothing can bother them. They take things day by day, never really correcting anything because, well, who cares? Neutral toxicity is when you try to find the happy balance between the two, but end up never taking either side. Let's start with the most obvious, which is chaotic. Chaotic toxicity is really easy to spot in relationships, since it is amplified, and most couples deal with this, if not all. This isn't to say it happens all the time, but those that just don't understand this is a natural process in relationships will always tend to make it worse. When knowing when it is truly being toxic, rather than just chaotic moments, that's when you will be doomed to fall into a toxically chaotic relationship. Meaning that if you think even the slightest of chaos deserves to be called toxic, well, you will spiral out of control and it will likely become more regular. And it will likely... The only way this is fixed is not to blame the other, but to look inward, to yourself, and understand why you think it is chaotic and how you can minimize the chaos. This can be done by removing yourself from the situation altogether. But that can also be extremely harmful as well, because you will never address the actual issue. What you are doing is running from your fears. You need to face them head on. Approach with a calm mind. Don't tell others how they can fix themselves, and point out all their issues. Otherwise, if you want to play that game, they can and should point out yours. The only way to notice when it is toxic is when you are willing to dish it out, but get too defensive and refuse to acknowledge their issues when it is done the same in return. These types of people tend to run to others and bring the chaos to as many people as they can, or try to spread the chaos. They aren't actually looking for comfort despite what they say. No, they may feel like that is what they are doing. Usually these types of people have always had a chaotic life and just assumes any minute chaotic issue is going to turn into it constantly, which turns into a spiral. It is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but the chaos in itself is enough to easily spot. If you only hear one side and already make an assumption based off that, especially when not willing to hear the other sides out, well, we can safely assume you are being biased and willfully ignorant, which is feeding the chaos. This feeds into the other videos about manipulation and so on. People that always bring their chaos to you won't find happiness until they dispel that chaos and become more neutral to things or calmer to things. They are also both the hardest and easiest to manipulate. They are easy because as long as you take their side, they will be extremely happy with you. However, if you take the oppositional approach, you will never gain their influence. That isn't to say all chaos is bad. Chaos can be good. Chaos can be used for many tactics that we can get into another day. Be very aware when making decisions. Never make decisions or change an opinion based off chaos, since this is one of the biggest manipulation tactics. However, On the flip side of this, if you never acknowledge when it becomes toxic, you will run into bigger issues down the road, which we can talk about another time. Let's move on to something that is a little harder to spot but becomes more apparent with time. Calm toxicity. Most will agree that calm, happy lives are usually the best. After all, how can you hate someone just trying to make the best of their life by just letting time and things be, letting nature run its course? After all, we are not even a tiny speck in the scheme of time and matter. We may be able to make huge leaps as individuals, but in the scheme of things, it will be forgotten with time. So, when does it become toxic? Well, you are living a life, one that influences all the people around you. It will become toxic when you become lazy and refuse to make decisions that can make yours and other lives better. You can fall into a deep depression by not doing enough, not getting out and experiencing life. When there are serious issues that need to be addressed, calm toxicity can be bad. Let's make a metaphor out of this. If you are in a burning building, it will take at least a little bit of chaos to get out of there. Too much chaos, and you will freak out and not see the obvious spots to get out of there. The issue with dealing with any type of toxicity is two things: when it is a real issue and when it isn't. The easiest way to figure this out is, how much is it affecting your life? Is it a problem? If it makes other people's lives notably harder, well, it might be becoming toxic. The issue with dealing with toxicity is you need to stay humble and understand everyone has issues. You must inspire them to do things, not force them to do things. Show them why they should do it. These are one of the cases. Manipulation and influence can and should be used for good. If you notice it makes everyone happier, including themselves, you should manipulate the situation to achieve that. However, never become a dictator. Know when you're overbearing and unwelcome. Don't ever force people, only inspire people. Which brings me to the last one, neutral toxicity. This is the most common of them. What is this? It is when you believe in not making any decisions and just always want to be the middleman, not seeing that there is sometimes a time to choose between chaos and relaxation. You can say it is the most level-headed for sure, but when it comes time to making decisions, you cannot rely on someone who is indecisive. If you noticed, all of these toxicities come with a layer of indecisiveness, but neutral toxicity takes it to a whole new level. They are basically not even aware of it because they chose to believe that their decisions are the most mutual and can do no harm. It feels that way if it is neutral, right? Let's go back to the burning building situation. If this type of person sees the building is burning, the chaotic person will frantically look for an exit, never find one, and end up destroying themselves, and very likely everyone else in the process of finding it. The calm one will likely take too long to find the exit if they are even looking for it. However, the neutral one may find the exit. They will just choose not to do anything because they want to maintain an unbiased stance. Therefore, like Rush says, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. So, where should you be? I always like to say, take the most neutral approach while keeping in mind you ultimately must make a decision. Let me reiterate what I am saying here. Don't ever try to be a fixer, but if you ever want to make a difference in someone's life, first look in the mirror and think about what you can change about yourself to fix the situation. It is never about force, only by influence and inspiration. Remember, always stay skeptical.